Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carey. Today I am going to do the version for men of what women think are the biggest turnoffs on a first date. I think that could be really helpful because it's different once you're actually dating somebody and starting a relationship. Super easy to avoid these things on a first date if you've got a heads up. So I hope that you'll find that intriguing, and if you do, stick around. That's what's on the agenda. If you're new here, I'm Carey. I'm a matchmaker and a dating coach. We talk a lot about first dates here because sometimes people are just nervous to get out there. There have been bad experiences. First dates aren't leading to second dates. Figuring out what's wrong, sometimes easier with a dating coach. If you're doing this on your own, here are some things to keep in mind that you want to make sure you are avoiding when you're putting yourself out there on first dates. Number one is sloppy dressing. Women complain to me about this all the time. He put no effort into this, and what the heck shoes was he wearing? You'd be amazed how often women mention men's shoes to me. That's a tongue twister. I did it pretty well though, didn't I? Women want to know that you went that extra step, that you gave it a little attention to detail to show up as your best self in both your personality that you bring with you, but also what you're wearing. I know clothes don't make the man, I get it, but that's not the way women see it. They want somebody who's well-groomed, who they can picture bringing around their family and their friends or their kids. They want somebody who thinks they're special enough that they put effort into how they look for this person. My best tip in this scenario is to have your go-to outfit that is already clean, already pressed if you do that thing, or pull your shirt out of the dryer and smooth it out over the back of a chair till it's wrinkle-free, and have a pair of shoes that you wear for dating. Whatever's your style goes with your wardrobe and doesn't look like they've been through 5,000 dates or through the mill, and you'll be in good shape there on number one. Number two, women complain about poor hygiene. That includes smells. You want to smell freshly showered, not freshly from the gym. Also, dental hygiene plays a role in this. You want to have white teeth. You want to have nice breath. You want to have a healthy mouth. So keeping your smile and your dental health shipshape will take care of number two. Also, not being too heavy-handed on any aftershave or cologne because some people are sensitive to smells, both good and bad. So number three is coming on too strong. This comes out in different ways. It can be physical, where people are just doing too much touching early on and not reading signals or watching for her expression and responses to you touching her arm or her hand or putting a hand on her waist when she's walking. If you're not getting the signal that this is welcome, you need to back off. Otherwise, sometimes people are a little too forthcoming with talking about the future, even when you're kidding. If you say things like, once we're married, this will be my job, or, that's a horrible example, but you know what I'm saying. If you're talking too much, joking about when you're together 5 years from now, that can be a little scary and off-putting. It kind of reads desperation for some women that you would be willing to jump to that next level before you truly even get to know her well enough to know that you would want to do that with her. Number four, women are turned off by people who are rude and disrespect others. And disrespecting others on a first date can be anybody from the host or hostess that greets you, an Uber driver as you're getting in or out of a vehicle, or she's getting in and out of hers, the wait staff, other patrons or people around at the park if you're having a picnic, just being kind to other people and not having some type of an attitude that's off-putting and makes it appear that you are not kind to people in general, that you're a nice guy and nice to other people. Be yourself if that's you, and let her see that you're one of the good guys. Next up, nerves are one thing, and that's perfectly acceptable. Most people cut one another slack for the beginning of a date where nerves can be heightened, I think is the word I was looking for. But eventually you'll realize and remember that this is just another person. You're not trying to win them over. You're trying to get to know them, in which case you can allow yourself to relax a little bit into this dating thing. But if there are constant signs of insecurity or a lack of confidence, women list this as something that's a turnoff for them. So hold off on the self-deprecating humor if that's sometimes where you go, making fun of yourself. I've said before, I think it's charming, and it can be, but it has to be pulled off in the correct way. Otherwise, it could be seen as being insecure. And also just watch a couple of my episodes on confidence. It's not something that everybody's born with, but it's definitely something everybody can work towards and be their most confident self when they're out there meeting new people and giving off that impression of being self-assured and self-reliant and knowing what you're doing and comfortable in your own skin. Important, and also helps you avoid turning off women on first dates. Number 6 is bad manners. And often on first dates, women can see this first with table manners. People chewing with their mouth open, or mouth noises, or not knowing what to do with their napkin, or chivalry type things like not knowing to pull her chair out if you're walking to the table and you hit her chair first and somebody else doesn't do that for her who works there, to pull out her chair. You don't have to get up every time she goes to the restroom, which is old-fashioned manners. Some women still enjoy that, and you'll get to know her. And my ex would still always open the car door for me every time we went out, even 6 years later. Always walked on the street side of the sidewalk when we were walking together, always opened doors for me. Most women like that. Well, most women, because that is one of their biggest complaints when men don't do that. And please, as I remind all my guy matchmaking clients, walk her to her car, at least offer to walk her to her car to make sure she gets to it safely, or to her Uber. If she says she doesn't want you to, or she's walking home and she wants to do it, that's on her, but make the offer. It's good manners. Number 7 turnoff for women is men that monopolize the conversation. I usually will explain to the woman, you got to give them a second date anyway. Sometimes when people are nervous, they'll do that talk thing and never let you get a word in edgewise. But catch yourself. I'm not there to cover for you if that's what's happening. So know that you don't want to be taking over and just not giving her an in to share about herself. Remember, your job here on this date is to be curious, not to be in the spotlight. You want to allow the other person to shine and share and get the spotlight once in a while to share something about themselves or their stories. So being curious and hearing me on your shoulder, ask a follow-up questions. You'll really learn something. That will take you far here. Be aware. Set a little reminder for yourself at some point to check in with you and make sure that you're not monopolizing the conversation. Oh, it's so annoying when somebody's showing off, when they're cocky or they're bragging all the time or doing that one-upping thing where you tell a story and they've got one that's bigger or better. Name dropping. I've had some clients. I almost didn't know how to tell them how bad it was, and I just hoped that it was for my benefit and they wouldn't do it on dates, and sometimes that ended up being true. So I'm careful to not want to say anything until I know it's a problem on a date, but make sure you're not doing that. You could know some really cool people or travel in some really cool circles or have a great next door neighbor who your date would know. First date's not the place to drop that name or to be telling stories that are making you look to be the hero in every situation. We want you to be confident, but we want you to be authentic and real and humble, right? So no one-upping, no bragging, no cockiness. It's a turnoff. And number 9, I know you're not going to agree with me. You're not going to like this. You're going to argue why you shouldn't have to do this in the comment section. And I don't care. I know that you think this, so you don't have to tell me. You can tell me if you want to. Women like it when men pay for the first date. So if it's your thing to split it on a first date, know that for a lot of women, not all of them, but for a lot of women, this is going to be a turnoff. They want it to be old-fashioned. They want the man to be the gentleman. This doesn't mean that they won't pick up the tab later, but for date number one, they want to be treated like a lady, and they want the man to pick up the tab. If you're down for that, but you're thinking to yourself, I can't afford to be dating a couple times a week and paying for, multiple women and multiple outings, then just adjust what you're doing and where you're going on your dates so that you can, if this is something that you desire to do, to not be turning off women, I guess, right? So I remember my ex-husband saying, wow, it's getting expensive. I keep going out for dinner like a couple times a week this month. I said, well, why are you going out for dinner with women you don't even know? Don't do that. Take them for a cup of coffee or a walk or appetizers and a drink. You could certainly go out a couple times for a drink and sharing an appetizer. That's not going to break the bank for a lot of people. And if that's too much, there are lots of things you can do. I have a list of first date ideas that are free, or very inexpensive for a cup of coffee and a walk. Think of it that way. If it's becoming too expensive, make some adjustments there as opposed to just going Dutch, because there's going to be women who won't want to see you for a second date on that alone. And if you think, hey, then I don't want to date her, that's fine too. All right, I hope you found those interesting and helpful. If you did, Mom says you should give it a thumbs up, and I'm not going to argue with that, but I'd also really appreciate you giving I don't want to say bop or smash, or I want you to hit the subscribe button is what I want you to do. I couldn't think of a funny word that doesn't annoy me personally. So please subscribe, hit the ring bell for notifications when new videos go up, and I'll look forward to seeing you back here again soon. Appreciate you being here today. Until next time, have a good one.